You know, it is funny. If you put a movie on mute, you can usually still tell exactly who the hero is.
Oh, easily. You can spot who's losing the argument, too.
Right. Or who is just completely out of their depth. Like, without a single line of dialogue, the power dynamics are just broadcast loud and clear.
Yeah, we're wired to read those physical signals instantly.
Exactly. So why is it that when we are prepping for a high-stakes moment in our own lives, a massive presentation or a job interview.
Or even just a really tough conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Why do we spend 99% of our time obsessing over the exact words we are going to say and almost zero time thinking about the physical signals our bodies are sending?
Because we think the words are what matter most. But today, we are decoding the actual mechanics of charisma.
We really are. We are pulling from this incredible stack of research for today's deep dive. We've got a massive AI-driven study from the Journal of Marketing Research, plus some really fascinating clinical psychological insights from Planet Spark.
And we are also using some incredibly practical frameworks from communication coach Vin Zhang. The overarching mission here is to give you, the listener, a really usable, practical shortcut to mastering nonverbal communication.
Right, because we want you to be able to walk into any room and just command it without feeling overwhelmed by trying to remember 50 different micro movements.
Exactly.
Because charisma isn't some magical innate gift bestowed upon a lucky few at birth. It is simply a mechanical output.
It really is. It is just the result of the physical signals your body is sending to the people around you. Change the mechanics and you instantly change how people perceive you.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we even look at how our body language affects the people we are talking to, we have to look at how it affects our own brains.
Right, because it turns out charisma is entirely an inside-out job.
Yeah, it is deeply biological.
It is. We tend to think that our brain dictates what our body does. Like, I feel confident, therefore I stand up straight.
Right, the brain is the boss.
But the relationship is actually a two-way street, and often the body is the one leading the charge. When you physically expand your posture, pulling your shoulders back, lifting your chin.
Basically claiming space.
Yeah, claiming space. Your body actually responds by altering its chemical production.
Wait, it literally changes your hormones.
It really does. It increases testosterone, which is the hormone linked to confidence and assertiveness.
Wow.
And at the same time, it lowers cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone.
I want to make this real for a second for the listener. If you are listening to this right now while hunched over your steering wheel or maybe slumped forward staring at your desk,
Which is probably most of us.
guilty as charged. But do a quick experiment. Just pull your shoulders back, sit up completely straight, and take a breath for 5 seconds. You can literally feel your physical state shift.
You really can. It's immediate.
But why does slouching feel so bad on a biological level? I mean, besides just causing back pain.
Well, because your brain is constantly running diagnostics on your physical form. If you are curled inward, protecting your vital organs, which really what slouching is, evolutionarily speaking,
Oh, yeah.
your mind interprets that physical state as fear. It assumes there is a predator or a threat nearby, so it reinforces those feelings of insecurity.
That makes so much sense.
Furthermore, slouching physically crushes your diaphragm. When your lungs are compressed, you are forced to take these shallow chest breaths.
And that triggers anxiety, right?
Exactly. Shallow breathing triggers the sympathetic nervous system, which ramps up your anxiety. But when you sit upright, air flows freely deep into your belly, activating the parasympathetic nervous system.
So it actually calms you down.
Yes, and that structural alignment is what gives your voice a steady, powerful resonance instead of sounding breathy and weak.
So posture is essentially the volume and tuning dial for your voice and your mood. That is fascinating.
It is a great way to think about it.
But I have to admit, it feels a bit backward. It's wild that we have to trick our own brains into feeling safe just by, pulling our shoulders back. You'd think our highly evolved brains would be running the show, not just taking notes on what our ribcage is doing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, adopting an open posture acts as a direct communication channel that actually bypasses your conscious thoughts.
Like a shortcut.
Exactly. Think of the concept of power posing. When you adopt an open stance, you aren't just putting on a show for the room. You are explicitly telling your own nervous system, hey, we are safe and we are in control.
Right.
The key here, though, is the difference between genuine, grounded confidence and fake confidence. Fake confidence is usually tense.
Like the overly loud, aggressive guy in the room.
Yeah, exactly. The overly loud voice, the rigid, puffed-out chest that looks like a caricature of an alpha male. True confidence is deeply relaxed. It is a steady tone, relaxed shoulders, and really fluid movement.
Which brings us to a huge contradiction. If standing tall and feeling safe makes us feel so good, why do we constantly self-sabotage?
What do you mean?
Like, why do we immediately start tapping a foot or playing with a ring or clicking a pen? If our body wants to feel grounded, why does it flood us with all this restless, nervous energy?
Well, that comes down to how our biology manages a perceived threat. When you are the center of attention, say, pitching a project or answering a tough question, your brain interprets all that scrutiny as a mild threat.
So it panics a little bit.
Right. It initiates a minor fight-or-flight response, pumping you full of adrenaline and cortisol. Suddenly, you have a massive surge of excess physical energy.
Oh, I see.
Think of it like a car engine revving intensely while the transmission is just stuck in neutral. That energy has to go somewhere.
So fidgeting is just your body's overflow valve.
Exactly. It's a physical mechanism trying to bleed off that excess tension to restore a baseline sense of control.
That makes so much sense as a pressure release valve. But why does it so often spiral completely out of control? Like, someone starts by just shifting their weight, and 5 minutes later they're practically doing a tap dance behind the podium.
That is because of the painful feedback loop of self-awareness. Initially, tapping your foot does relieve a tiny fraction of that stress. So your brain says, great, keep doing that.
Right.
But then you suddenly notice yourself doing it. You realize the whole room can see your hands trembling or your leg bouncing.
Oh no. The worst feeling.
And that realization causes acute embarrassment, which your brain reads as a brand new threat. So it dumps more adrenaline into your system, which causes you to fidget even more aggressively.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Doesn't fidgeting help some people focus? Like if clicking a pen or playing with my watch helps me get my thoughts straight internally, why do I need to suppress that?
Because you have to weigh that internal benefit against the external cost. And the cost is massive. It severely distracts your audience.
Because we notice movement.
Exactly. Human eyes are evolutionarily wired to track movement. If your hands are fluttering around your face or you are constantly pacing back and forth, your audience is no longer listening to your brilliant ideas. They are hypnotized by your nervous tics. You dilute your own impact.
Wow. So how do we put the car back in drive without letting the engine explode?
Awareness without brutal self-criticism. When you feel that energy spiking, you have to replace the frantic movement with grounding behaviors.
Like what?
Plant your feet firmly on the floor, really feel the solid ground, rest your hands lightly together, and most importantly, use the power of the pause.
The pause.
Yeah. We usually fidget to fill the silence because silence feels like vulnerability. But allowing yourself to stand perfectly still and pause for 2 seconds while speaking projects immense, unshakable authority.
Okay, so we've got the engine idling quietly, the internal alarms are off, the stress hormones are down, and our feet are planted. But preventing a negative reaction isn't the same as creating a positive one. How do we take that internal calm and broadcast it outward as magnetism?
This is where we transition into the mechanics of the face and eyes. One of the sources we analyzed, communication coach Vince Yang, talks about a concept called facial congruence.
Facial congruence.
It sounds obvious, but it is the #1 thing people get wrong under pressure. Your face must match your words.
Yes. Think about the classic corporate nightmare, where a manager has to deliver bad news, like a budget cut or layoff. But because they are nervous, they have this terrified, plastered-on smile.
Oh, it is the worst.
It creates such a creepy, unsettling disconnect for anyone watching.
It completely shatters trust. To be charismatic, you must be congruent. If your message is serious, your face needs to reflect gravity. If your message is exciting, your face needs to light up.
Right.
When the verbal message and the visual facial expression are out of sync, the listener's brain experiences cognitive dissonance. It immediately assumes you are hiding something and defaults to distrust.
And then there's eye contact. We all know we're supposed to make eye contact, but honestly, locking eyes with someone can feel completely terrifying.
It can. Vin Zhang points out that staring unflinchingly into the depths of someone's soul isn't charisma, it's just intimidation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he offers a framework called the triangle technique, right?
Yes. The triangle technique is brilliant because it gives your brain a specific task to focus on, which naturally lowers your anxiety. The framework is simple. When you're speaking to someone, look at their left eye, then gently move your gaze to their right eye, then drop your gaze down to their nose and loop back.
Just left eye, right eye, nose.
Yep. And you hold each point for about 4 to 5 seconds.
Wait, look at someone's nose. Won't they absolutely notice that? I feel like if I stare at someone's nose, they're going to think I'm judging their pores or they have a smudge on their face.
This raises an important question. It feels incredibly strange to you, the person doing it, because you are hyper aware of the shift. But we have to look at it from the listener's perspective.
Okay.
The nose is centrally located and extremely close to the eyes. To the person you're talking to, dropping your gaze to their nose doesn't register as staring at their nose. It simply registers as an attentive, softened focus.
Oh, that makes sense. But why the 4 to 5 second rule? Why not just hold eye contact the whole time?
Because of how the human brain processes prolonged eye contact, in nature, an unbroken stare means one of two things. A predator is about to attack, or an intimate partner is expressing deep affection.
Oh, wow. Neither of which is great for a Tuesday morning staff meeting.
Exactly. If you maintain direct eye contact past 6 or 7 seconds in a standard professional setting, the listener's amygdala starts firing. It feels overly aggressive and deeply uncomfortable.
Ah, I see.
The triangle technique forces you to break that intensity just before it becomes threatening, making the other person feel seen, engaged, and most importantly, safe.
Left eye, right eye, nose. It takes all the guesswork out of it.
Okay.
Okay, so our eye contact is no longer predatory and our face matches our words. But this naturally leads to a new problem.
Which is?
If we are standing still with our feet planted, maintaining great eye contact, but our hands are just glued to our sides, we look like robots. Where do the hands go?
They belong in the power sphere.
The power sphere.
Imagine a three-dimensional box on the front of your body that extends from your belly button up to your eyes. That is your power sphere. When you are gesturing to emphasize a point, your hands need to stay inside that imaginary frame.
I love thinking about it like the frame of a TV screen. If a news anchor is talking and suddenly their hands drop below the desk where you can't see them, it breaks the illusion.
It really does.
Or if they start waving their hands wildly above their head, you think there's an emergency in the studio.
That is a highly accurate analogy. Gesturing within the power sphere naturally projects influence and controlled enthusiasm. If you drop your hands down by your waist or hips while you talk, you are signaling low energy.
Subconsciously.
Yes, evolutionarily, when we can't clearly see someone's hands, we subconsciously trust them less. And conversely, if you are throwing your hands up above your head, it signals a frantic state of alarm. The power sphere keeps your movements authoritative and visible.
What about when we aren't the ones speaking? Because listening makes up half of every conversation. Is there a way to project charisma when you are just standing there absorbing information?
Yes, and Vinjang has a specific posture for this called the computer gesture.
The computer gesture.
Yeah. Normally, folding your arms across your chest is a massive mistake. It creates a physical barrier that screams defensive, closed off, and resistant to what the other person is saying.
Right. Everyone knows the crossed arms look is bad.
But if you fold your arms and bring one hand up to rest thoughtfully on your chin, the entire meaning of the posture flips.
Oh. It's like showing the other person your mental loading bar.
I love that.
You are physically validating their words. You are showing them, I am downloading what you're saying, I am processing it, and I am treating your ideas with respect.
Precisely. And that touches on the true definition of charisma. Charisma isn't about being the loudest, shiniest person in the room. It is entirely about how you make the other person feel when they interact with you.
That is so true.
The computer gesture is a high-level empathy tool. It makes the speaker feel incredibly valued.
Okay, I love the mechanics of the power sphere and the computer gesture, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Is there hard empirical data proving that moving our hands in a specific imaginary box actually changes how competent people think we are? Or is this just like acting advice that looks good on paper?
There is extremely hard data, and the scale of the research is honestly mind-blowing. This brings us to the massive study published in the Journal of Marketing Research.
Okay.
The researchers set out to determine if hand gestures genuinely impact persuasiveness and financial outcomes. And they didn't just ask a few people. They used advanced AI tools to analyze over 200,000 video segments from more than 2,000 TED Talks.
Wait, 200,000 video segments. That is an unbelievable sample size. How did they measure persuasiveness?
The AI tracked every micro-movement frame by frame, correlating the types of gestures with how the videos were rated online, which amounted to over 33 million data points of audience approval.
33 million data points.
Wow. But they didn't stop at historical data. To prove cause and effect, they ran controlled, high-stakes live experiments where 1,600 participants evaluated entrepreneurs pitching real products to secure funding.
And what was the verdict? Does gesturing actually make you more persuasive?
The pattern was undeniable. Gestures that visually represent what is being said, which researchers call illustrators, explicitly predict higher audience evaluations.
Illustrators.
In the live experiments, the 1,600 participants consistently rated the entrepreneurs who used illustrative gestures as significantly clearer, more competent, and more worthy of investment than those who didn't.
Wait, I need to push back on this. If I am physically acting out every single word I say like a mime, if I say house and draw a roof in the air and say dog and pretend to pet a dog, isn't that going to look incredibly distracting and frankly unhinged?
You are absolutely right, and the researchers warn against exactly that. The goal is clarity over choreography. You aren't playing a literal game of charades with nouns.
Okay, good.
You are illustrating structural concepts and spatial relationships. For example, if you say, these two ideas are vastly different, you physically spread your hands far apart.
That makes sense.
If you say, we need to bring these departments together, you bring your hands together and interlock your fingers. If you talk about revenue going up and down, you make a wave shape. You are giving the abstract concepts a physical shape.
So why does that make someone think I'm a better leader? Because spreading my hands apart doesn't actually make the data any better.
It comes down to a psychological concept called processing fluency. Human brains are inherently lazy. We love information that is easy to decode.
Right.
When you use illustrators, you are providing a visual shortcut. The listener's brain doesn't have to work as hard to build a mental picture because you are literally drawing the framework in the air for them. The message feels easier to process.
Oh, I see.
And human psychology dictates that when an idea is easy to grasp, we automatically mistake the ease of listening for the genius of the speaker. We deem them more competent.
We literally confuse our own easy comprehension with their brilliant leadership. That is an amazing hack.
It goes even deeper into the neurological level, driven by mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action.
Oh, like why yawns are contagious.
Exactly, or why we wince when we see someone stub their toe. When you, as the speaker, use calm, open, illustrative body language, the mirror neurons in your audience's brains subtly simulate that physical behavior.
That is wild.
You are literally inducing a state of calm and clarity in their nervous system. It automatically fosters trust without a single word being exchanged.
But I imagine we have to be careful about where we are deploying these gestures, right? Because nonverbal communication isn't a universal language everywhere in the world.
Cultural context is paramount. What builds trust in one culture can be a massive insult in another. For example, while the triangle technique is fantastic for Western business norms where direct eye contact shows confidence, in many Asian cultures, prolonged direct eye contact from a subordinate to a superior is perceived as disrespectful and aggressive.
Oh, good to know.
Similarly, the size of your power sphere might need to shrink in cultures that value physical modesty and closer proximity. A truly charismatic communicator always reads the room and adapts their nonverbal vocabulary to respect the cultural baseline of their audience.
So what does this all mean? If someone is listening to this on their way to a huge pitch or a nerve-wracking date, how do they apply this without short-circuiting their brain trying to remember 20 different rules?
What's fascinating here is you do not need a month-long silent retreat to change your body language. The lead researcher behind that massive AI study noted that even just a 5-minute conscious training session, just 5 minutes of practicing matching your hands to your words in a mirror, makes people significantly clearer and more effective communicators.
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah. You build the muscle memory in low-stakes environments. Practice your illustrators when you're telling a funny story to a friend. Correct your posture every time you sit down to send an email. The mechanical habits build very quickly.
It's just getting your reps in.
Yeah.
Like going to the gym, but for your charisma.
Exactly.
So let's wrap this up and summarize the ultimate cheat sheet from our deep dive today. First, hack your physiology. Pull those shoulders back to drop your cortisol and give your lungs the space to project a powerful voice.
It's an essential first step.
Second, stop the engine from revving in neutral. Ditch the nervous fidgeting by planting your feet and embracing the raw power of the pause.
Right.
Third, keep your hands visible and active inside that TV screen frame, your power sphere. Fourth, use the triangle technique, left eye, right eye, nose to maintain warm, non-predatory eye contact.
Yes.
And finally, use illustrator gestures to create processing fluency, making it so easy for your audience to understand you that they instantly view you as a genius.
Those are the core foundational mechanics. But I want to leave you with one final, fascinating layer to ponder, drawn from the Planet Spark's psychological insights.
Oh, what's that?
The unhackable reality of microexpressions. We have spent this entire time talking about consciously controlling our posture, our hands, and our eye contact. But microexpressions are involuntary muscle flashes on our faces that happen incredibly fast, often lasting less than half a second.
Less than half a second. You could blink and miss it.
Exactly. And that is why they are so telling. Even when someone is perfectly executing the power sphere and the triangle technique, a raised eyebrow of surprise, a brief tightening of the lips in disagreement, or a split-second nose wrinkle of disgust can flash across their face and betray their true internal state.
Wow.
The conscious brain simply isn't fast enough to suppress them. Professionals in high-stakes negotiation and psychology study these microexpressions intensely because they are the ultimate leak of truthfulness.
So even if you memorize every single mechanical rule we talked about today, if you are deeply inauthentic or trying to scam someone, your face will literally betray you in a fraction of a second before you can stop it.
Precisely, which reinforces the most important lesson of all. True confidence must be authentic. Your internal belief in what you are saying has to match your external performance.
That makes total sense.
So here is a challenge for you. The next time you are in a conversation, don't just focus internally on where your hands are. Look closely. See if you can spot these split-second truth tellers on the other person's face. Because mastering charisma isn't just about controlling your own mechanical signals. It's about learning to read the authenticity that happens faster than the blink of an eye.
That is an incredible challenge to take with you. We started this deep dive talking about how watching a movie on mute still tells you everything you need to know about the power dynamics in the room. Well, now you've got the scripts for that hidden language. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take your new posture, your power sphere, and your gesture vocabulary out into the real world and see exactly how the dynamics change when you finally take control of the strings.